Hello, Woodland Wildcats, and welcome to the second recording of What is Digital Citizenship, a Woodland Elementary Parent Academy in webinar format. The original one was recorded and posted August 22nd. This one is being re-recorded and reposted August 26th. The original one will still be available even though the file is gigantic. Hopefully I will be able to compress this one down and you will be able to have access to it straight from your phone. So trying to get the information as accessible as possible. And thank you so much for hanging in there with me while I'm working out all these different kinks. Had a few PowerPoint issues last week. Today I am using the Skype platform in the presenter view. So hopefully this will give me some practice and I will be ready for you for our next webinar. So as a welcome, my name is Jessie Garris. I am the Media Educational Technology Instructor at Woodland Elementary. That's METI for short. I'm also called a librarian, the book lady, the media specialist. I have been at Woodland for 11 years. This is my 12th year. This is my 5th year in the library, and this is my 4th year teaching the Common Sense Media curriculum. So students, all students in Fulton County actually receive lessons and an education in Common Sense Media, digital citizenship. And a component of it is to share digital citizenship information with parents that can be shared in face-to-face format or webinar format. So this is my first go at a webinar. The first recording was well over a gigabyte, and I think it was because of the videos, but hopefully this one will be a bit better. So the objectives for today's webinar: understand the meaning of digital citizenship, understand why digital citizenship is important, provide, I know this is proved, provide, sorry for the typo, parents with access to digital citizenship resources like commonsense.org, and understand the harms of copyright piracy. Now we're going to watch a quick video about what digital citizenship is and why it's important. This was created by commonsense.org. They are the leading entity when it comes to digital citizenship. They have resources for parents, for educators, and for children. One of my favorite things that they offer, you can actually look up book and movie reviews, and it'll tell you if it's age appropriate. So it'll actually tell you down to the second where an inappropriate word is said in a movie. So sometimes even those PG and PG-13 movies might have a word in it you don't necessarily want your children to hear. And commonsense.org actually has that pinpointed down. So you can make the choice, the informed decision as to whether or not you let your child watch that video. So without further ado, let's start the Common Sense. All right, so it sounds like I had some really bad feedback on that. I am sorry about that. But really, digital citizenship, the whole point of the video is to explain that it's just some ground rules on how to behave when you are online in a digital setting. That could be online using a tablet or a cell phone, or a laptop or a computer. It could be watching videos on YouTube. It could be social networking using Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. It could be gaming using any of those gaming consoles. So years ago, when the internet first became big and social media started up with MySpace and Facebook, we didn't really have these ground rules for how to behave while you were online. It was just assumed that everyone knew how to behave in the digital world. Well, we quickly realized that we need to teach children, especially, how to behave in these digital settings, because we cannot assume that they know how to behave while they are online. We've also discovered that putting a screen in between two people can disassociate that person. It can make them a little more bold and a little more confident in saying things that they wouldn't usually say to that person's face. So again, we have to take a step back and really get to know our children and really have these conversations with them and lay down the expectations of how we would like them to behave online. So according to dictionary.com, digital citizen is a person who develops the skills and knowledge to effectively use the internet and other digital technology, especially in order to participate responsibly in social and civic activities. Bottom line, how are you a good human while you are online? So really thinking about that empathy. What do your actions do? How do your actions affect others, and how do others' actions affect you, whether they be in the digital world or if they carry over into the real world? Because ultimately, it's kind of hard to differentiate between the digital world and the real world now, because the digital world is such an integral part of our lives. So why is this important? Well, there is a wonderful article by Mike Ribble. He is one of the writers for ISTE, ISTE.org. He did an article explaining why it is really important. It came out October 23rd, 2016. If you would like more information on this article, you can go to my website and download it. But I am going to give you a very quick overview of why digital citizenship is more important than ever. So we have the 9 keys of digital citizenship. So the 9 elements. Digital access, which means who has access to the internet. We often take for granted that if you have a phone with internet capability, or if you have a computer or a gaming console, that everyone else has access to it, but that's not always the case. So understanding digital access, digital commerce, buying and selling things online, digital communication, how you actually exchange information, whether it be personal information, professional information just for fun. Digital literacy. So literacy, oftentimes we think of books and reading. Well, literacy in the digital world means, yes, that you can read online, but it also means that you are able to navigate the digital world from different platforms. So are you able to use a laptop, a cell phone, a desktop, multiple devices, multiple operating systems? Are you able to navigate different web pages that look different ways? Are you able to tell the difference between a valid source and an invalid source? So all of those things come together to form digital literacy. We have digital etiquette. This is where we are actually spending a lot of time at the elementary level, really teaching children what is appropriate and what is inappropriate while online. Digital law is the responsibility for your actions online. Digital rights and responsibilities is what is everyone free to do online, and what are your rights as a digital citizen. So if someone does something to you in the digital world, what are your rights and what are your next steps that you can do? Digital health and wellness, finding a balance between the two, because let's face it, the digital world is affecting our physical, mental, emotional wellness, from anywhere from causing us to decrease our cardiovascular activity to emotional stress, where we are always turned on. There's actually been a study or multiple studies actually that have come out about how having access to cell phones and the internet and social networking sites is actually causing the neural pathways in our brain to change. If you would like more information on that article, just send me an email and I would be more than happy to send it to you. Lastly, we have digital security. So what precautions do you need to take to make yourself safe online? So those are the 9 elements. And in this article that Mike Ribble wrote, he took the 9 elements and he put them into 3 groups. We have respect, which has your etiquette, access, and law. Educate, which is literacy, communication, and commerce. And protect, which is rights and responsibilities, security, and health and wellness. So with the etiquette, students need to understand how their technology use affects others. That's also thinking of empathy. So how are their actions affecting others? With access, we got to remember that not everyone has access to the same things that we do. And it really does mean that if you do have access to the internet or the ability to share that access with someone, you really need to start thinking about doing that. And that's why I push all of my students and all of their parents to please, if you do not have access to the internet, to please join your local library. It is free as long as you live in that district. You can check out laptops. They have desktops that you can log on to. And they also have a whole slew of resources that you can look at. There are certain streaming and internet companies like Xfinity, I believe is one of them, where you can actually, if you are a free and reduced lunch recipient, you can get internet for free. So there are ways to get this out to everyone. With the law, we need to always keep in mind that everything online does belong to someone else. And we're the copy and paste generation, where we just kind of copy a picture and paste it and throw it up. And we really need to start thinking about who has ownership of this picture, and would they be okay with me reposting it? There was a huge thing on Instagram. I'm not sure about the other social media sites, but I know on Instagram there was this huge thing where these influencers and these meme generators and makers and everything were getting called out because they were taking other people's content and posting it on their page, and yet the person who made the original content was not getting any kickbacks from it, so to speak. They weren't getting the due credit. So now you'll actually see a lot of times on Instagram, you see credit and consent, and then it will actually tell you who the original content came from. And that was actually a direct result of digital law. So when we move into educate, this means literacy. This means regardless of where the information comes from, we're aware that not everything we read on the internet is true. We have to become very diligent in fact-checking and really seeing if this site lines up with this site. Is this a valid source? Is this an invalid source? It's asking those questions and really digging in deeper to find out where the truth lies. Communication. Knowing when and where to use technology is important. We always have to keep in mind that the spoken word, like me speaking over this webinar right now, you can get the intonation of my voice, you can get the pace of it, the cadence of it, and if I were to be sarcastic, you could probably pick up on it just by the tone of my voice. You don't necessarily need to see my face. But in an email or a text message, what you might think is, totally acceptable, someone might take the completely wrong way. And it can actually cause a lot of issues. And that's one thing that we've definitely seen in grades 4 and 5, where a text message will be sent, someone reads it, they take it the complete wrong way, and even though it happened outside of school, these kids are coming to school with this issue, and we are seeing a lot more where we're having to help children navigate the waters of conflict with their friends, even though the conflict is taking place outside of school. Then with commerce, we can buy and sell so much stuff online, but we just need to make sure that we are careful with what information we share and store. For protecting yourself and others online, you need to build trust with your children, and we as teachers need to build trust with your children as well and with our students. Because if something does happen online, they need to feel comfortable and confident enough to come and talk to us. With security, it's everyone's responsibility to guard their tools and data. And with health and wellness, it is so important to find a balance between the tech-driven world and face-to-face and day-to-day life. And so when Mike Ribble, when he put these into these 3 different categories, he really wanted everyone to see that these 9 key elements actually affect every aspect of our life now. It isn't cut and dry. It isn't just you go online, you do whatever you need to do online, and you get off, and then you call it a day. If you post a picture online and say you have a friend in it, and your friend didn't want their picture posted, well, your friend gets upset. Even though you've logged off, that person is upset and they're texting you, okay? Like, you turn your phone off, but you're still reeling because that situation happened. So it's come to a point where even though we didn't necessarily grow up with the technology that we have now, we have to make a conscious effort to teach our children to be responsible, respectable digital citizens where they can take situations that they're in and they can make the best, most informed decision possible. If inappropriate content pops up on their screen, what are they going to do? If someone sends them a really mean text message, what are they going to do? If they're at a party and some inappropriate things are happening at the party, are they going to, get involved and take photos with it and post it? Or are they going to call an adult and leave the situation? A lot of times children, and especially our teens, don't understand that just because it's not on the internet anymore doesn't mean it's gone. So someone might post a photo and put it on their Instagram, but the person, that one of the people that they share it with, they can screenshot it and repost the picture. So even though something embarrassing has happened and they took the picture down, it doesn't mean that it's gone forever. So really getting our children and our students to start thinking about, how is posting this picture going to affect me? How are my words going to affect me and other people? And taking the time to think about that and have the conversations with kids. So one thing that we need to talk about as digital citizens, if we're going to start supporting our children to be really good digital citizens, is copyright. So lovely, lovely copyright. In the copy paste generation, where if you see something, you just be like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna repost it and it's gonna be great. It doesn't matter if I give credit or consent. It actually does. Even if you don't know how to cite your sources appropriately, like you don't know ALA or MLA or all of that's APA, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you are trying to find who created the actual content and you're at least giving credit to that person. Ultimately ends up creating the people who are creating the content. So if you have an artist, say they work, they work really hard, they post their work online, and then someone comes and just starts taking their photos and reposting them everywhere else, well, that artist is actually losing out on gaining money from their intellectual property. It's also, it's one of those things where there are so many sites out there like Creative Commons. You can actually do a search through Google or Bing where you do a public use license where people post things and you can access the material quickly, and it doesn't matter if you contact the actual person to get permission. You can use the content because they already put that on the license. If you're using something like PowerPoint or Word, if you search for photos through PowerPoint or Word, you don't have to worry about that because they only go with the Creative Commons database to pull pictures. So a lot of times students are like, what's the worst that could happen? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It does. We really are in the elementary level trying to teach them now how to cite sources appropriately and really stress the importance of doing that, because by the time they get into middle school, high school, and college, if they are caught plagiarizing or stealing someone else's work, it can cost them their academic career. And we don't want that to happen. So it is our responsibility at the elementary level to really get kids starting to think about this. Really think about, okay, if I take this picture from this database or this, this commons area, is it okay that I take it? Are they saying that I absolutely cannot use it? What type of licenses are behind it? And the thing is with copyright, I could do a whole entire presentation just on copyright because there's so much that goes into it. But really, the main thing to remember is the content privately owned? And if it is the content creator giving you permission to use it? So that's like with videos. We wouldn't want to take a video like Harry Potter and post it online somewhere because you're actually creating copyright infringement. And that can actually cause some big trouble. Like the Common Sense Media video that I shared, it's Creative Commons, meaning that I can use it and share it with whomever I please. So really just think about that before you take a screenshot of something and you reshare or repost. Really think about, where is this content coming from, and is it okay if I share it? So with all of that being said, number one, I'm really stoked. I came in at 22 minutes. My other one was a little under 35 minutes. I'm really excited to really start being able to reach more people and start talking more about digital citizenship. I do hope that this presentation was better than the other one, that you're able to download it and you're able to watch it. I know it's not identical. It wasn't word for word. I did have to re-record it, so I might have missed some things, but I'm going to try and make sure that I covered all of my bases. If you would please take a moment and go to my website and fill out the Woodland Elementary Parent Academy Evaluation Summary. It doesn't ask for a code or anything. You just fill it out, and I will make sure that I get the Paw Pack point to your child or children. I thank you so much for joining me. I do apologize if I sound a little tired. It's the end of Monday, but we made it. Again, thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions or need anything from me, I am just an email away. Again, my name is Jessie Garris, and my email is Garris, GARRISJ, @fultonschools.org. Thanks for joining me. Now it's time to go forth and do great things.